say, Aan Janab ne ye kiya. You know what Aan Janab means? The third person who is not present. So out of respect for him, while he is before you, say that person has. Aan Janab means not you, but literally means that person who is not here. And sometimes you refer to a third person and say aapne ye farmaya. Why? Just a minute. When you said aapne ye farmaya, you are not addressing that person whom you are addressing. You are talking of someone else. For instance, when you speak of Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you go on saying, addressing someone, that aapne ye farmaya. It doesn't mean it is the one who is standing before you whom you are addressing. So when you change the tense, not the tense, what you call this? The person. When you change the person from third to second or second to third, why do you do it? Out of a sign of respect. So in this regard, I take this prayer. Suddenly, out of respect for Rasulullah Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you change his person from third to second, and also to create a sense of personal relationship with him, as if you were addressing him, to bring his concept closer to you. And that is in preparation for what is to follow. What is to follow is tashahhud, what is to follow is durood, which is all in third person. So if the second person address was to be taken as the presence of Rasulullah sallam, what followed should also have been done in the same style. But suddenly the style changes, so this only is to create a psychological sense of nearness to Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallam. With that sense of nearness, when you send durood on him, send salam on him, that will have a greater force rising from your heart. Right?
हज़ूर दूसरा सवाल ज़रा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, शायद थोड़ा सा लंबा हो जाए। तो ये है कि सूरह यूसुफ आयत 104 में है वमा अक्सर उन्नास वलाउ हरस्ता बिमुमिनीन, और उसके अलावा एक और जगह कुरान मजीद में है कि क्यों हज़रत यूनुस अलैहिस्सलाम की कौम के अलावा कोई और कौम ईमान नहीं लाई। इसके अलावा भी
ईमान नहीं लाई, नहीं बेनिफिट नहीं किया उसने उस हलाकत की पेशगोई से।
इसके अलावा भी हुजूर पास जगह पे कुरान मजीद में ऐसे चीज़ें मिलती हैं कि जिससे पता लगता है कि इंसान की अक्सरियत जो है वो गुनाहगार है और अक्सरियत जो गुजर गए वो भी गुनाहगार थे। हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया कि हर बच्चा जो पैदा होता है वो दीन फितरत इस्लाम पर पैदा होता है। तो जो पहला बच्चा दुनिया में पैदा हुआ वो भी फितरत इस्लाम पे था, तो फिर गुनाह इंड्यूस कहाँ से हुआ?
फितरत पर पैदा होता है।
फितरत पर,
ठीक है। फितरत पर पैदा होने का मतलब है एवरीबॉडी इज गिवन एन इक्वल फेयर स्टार्ट। देयर इज नो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन whether a child is born in Africa or China or Japan or England. All children are given one single fair start of total neutrality and the ability to choose for themselves, distinguish between right and wrong. This is fitrat. So when they exercise their power of choosing between right and wrongly, then they're responsible for themselves. If they exercise that power rightly, then also they will benefit from that decision. So you must understand the fitrah. The fitrah is still in you, still alive. You can refer these questions to yourself and find out, is it not right that right from the early childhood you had this choice of taking decisions at every step of decision making, right or wrong. There were small things, of course, in childhood which confronted you, but you knew as a child this was right, this was wrong. Even if somebody makes the first act of stealing, commits the first act of stealing, the child knows it is right, it is not right. So that fitrat is referred to in general and which has been mentioned elsewhere in the Holy Quran, that khalaqal insana allamahul bayan. God created man and taught him the art of distinguishing. The bayan also applies to the power to articulate and to express yourself, but basically the bayan means to make distinction between one thing and the other, and that is what the speech does. Makes it clear to others, but you think of this and of that, so that power of making distinctions between one thing and the other is called bayan. So that is the power I am talking about. This is fitra. The Holy Quran has explained itself what fitra means. Khalaq al-insana allamahul bayan. So if that bayan is not exercised to your own advantage, then this is what would happen, which you see in observing the world. But it's not because God has imposed this on people. Man in general will follow this. Why in general? This is the question. When man was created for goodness, why it so happens that in generality, in larger majority, people will choose the path of sinfulness? Because it is a downhill task. The gravitational force pulls you, and to work against the gravitational force requires a special effort and a will. So to achieve higher stages, to move towards higher stages of spiritual attainments requires efforts. And because downhill task is easy, when you don't make any effort, you automatically go downward. So that is what works against man. And only those succeed in achieving a higher order who make a willful effort to do that. Otherwise they will all fall prey to satanic insinuations. And that is what happens.
अगर डाउनहिल टास्क को हम शैतानियत कह लें तो नाउजुबिल्लाह वो गालिब हुई
क्या?
अगर डाउनहिल टास्क को शैतानियत कह लें, शैतानी कुव्वतों का जोर,
मैंने नहीं कहा शैतानियत है, मैंने कहा है कि एक ओवरवेलमिंग पावर है जिसके खिलाफ वर्क करने के लिए एक खैर हुनरी एफर्ट चाहिए. बट you are oversimplifying my answer while you had started by warning me that it is going to be a complicated question. So why don't you try to understand a complicated answer fit to in response to a complicated question. I only gave one simple example to make things easier for you. This is a law of nature which you immediately understand. But that does not mean that every response to the attraction of gravitation will lead you into destruction. It has very important role to play in your life to your advantages as well. So you can't dub it as a shaitaniyat as a whole. Yes, next please.
जी हज़ूर, इसी सवाल का और हिस्सा ये है कि अल्लाह ताला ने कुरान में फरमाया वखलकनल मौत वल हयात लिनबलुवहुम अय्युहुम अहसनु अमला.
राइट.
हज़ूर, बात यह है कि जब कोई शख्स जज़ा सज़ा का या सिले का सवाल वहाँ पैदा होता है, जब जानते बूझते हुए कोई शख्स किसी इम्तिहान में दाखिल होता है, कामयाबी या नाकामी, लेकिन जब मौत या हयात थी ही नहीं तो इस चीज़ का तो तसव्वुर ही नहीं कि कौन अच्छा है या कौन बुरा है. तो अल्लाह ताला ने खुद पैदा फरमाए. और
again that is a very naive understanding of this verse which has led you to this problem. Khalaqal maut wal hayata means two poles, one of death and one of life. There are so many stages in between, and everything in existence is either traveling towards life or traveling towards death. For instance, every chemical reaction proves this fact.